I'm very curious about your questions. And there's I can
Hey,
pick some.
David.
Yeah, thank
My
you.
name's Jamie. My pronouns are he, him, or they. And I'm curious for you to tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe how NVC has changed your world.
Okay, stop me at 45 minutes, please. But all right. Well, let's see. First of all, how I got into it was in 1990, my wife and I moved into, we helped actually found with 8 other families an intentional community where we all bought land, we each built our own homes, and we wanted to, under the idea of sharing resources, helping each other with raising kids and things like that, and tending the earth. Those were our main tenets. And also learning how to, about community. What is it? And in a sense, reclaiming that. So, so with that, there's this idea that you're going to find, the people and the family you always wanted. Well, the truth of the matter is you find the family you always had with a chance as an adult to face the stuff that comes up in relationship. So it was kind of a pressure cooker of relationships and a house of mirrors. That's the quickest description. It was intense. And about 2 years into it, someone brought a trainer in. Actually, you probably know her, Kathleen McFerrin. She was a trainer in training at that time, and it was a good first weekend, and we got some things, but it really enough where at least Judith and I really took it and ran with it, and the community embraced it, even though we didn't really understand it. And it wasn't long before everybody started to make everybody a little tired of it, but we persevered and got through those initial stages. Anyway, how it changed my life, just the basics, of really hearing there's this place underneath all of our words and all of our actions that we share. That was how that was articulated and the tools around that, centering on that. And then one of the bigger things that continued to emerge for me, that is one of the things that really brought me wanting not only to be learning, but to sharing, was about besides community, which is now my form of activism, if you will, because I do believe it's in community where we learn the things we need to learn, like empathy and how to find our voices, um, and walk our talk, that kind of thing, and to be present with each other. And yeah, there's a lot of the practices of NVC that have really helped with those. So it fed a lot of my life prior to learning it, and in the practice of the art and the discipline, I've imbued my life into it. And so that's why how I teach it and how I step into it is it's an approach that it's a little different, but it also feels really complementary and important to the NVC circle. And I'll say briefly the angle that I tend to emphasize, which is, that part of us that gets really triggered, with all the words that we can use, but there's this other stuff going on that's historical and embedded. And learning how to get that unified under our words, so our words and who we are in alignment. Because otherwise people hear double messages, this old. And so that's one thing. And the other thing is about how to approach it. Okay. But really, a way of learning it from the felt body up. They work together. It's just a different approach. And I find that's really useful as far as and how to practice it as a lifelong learning, and I pull from other arts I've studied. Anyway, that's probably, I hope that helped. Does that Thank you. I'd like to leave room for questions. Anyone else? Natalie, it seems like you got a question. Do you got one?
Woo, way to call me out there.
I want to just point out that we see each other here, and a lot of our communication is noticing. And you could feel that there was something that was, and this is a wonderful, even on Zoom, it's a perfect place to practice. So anyway, you're in choice, though. I did call you out, but it was a total choice.
Thanks. I was not that ready to speak, but I'm gonna step into this. I don't know how to form my questions. So I've been studying NVC for 5, 7, 8 years. Something that I'm looking for is teachings that aren't the very beginning of NVC 101. Maybe an intermediate level, maybe advanced, I don't know. And I'm curious whether I am going to be able to find that at the IIT.
Well, of the other trainers, Roxy's the only one that I have had the opportunity to teach with and learn from. And I can tell you she's got a very unique approach that will continue to call us out in a real good way. And that's a whole nother story. And it's exciting to me. And what I do, you will find almost nothing in that NVC 101 that looks the same as how you learned it, because I approach it somatically. And I know that there's plenty of information out there for the intro, and I have learned, and I value, the basic training wheels, and they're training wheels. And any art, you don't lose the train. If you don't lose the training wheels, it slows you down. So what I hear from you is you want to move on from the training wheels and explore it and kind of embody it. And that, I can help with that. And you keep me talking, I'd launch into a practice or two that might show you that. And I'm wondering if I could do that in a minute or two or three. Here's one. The question that nobody asked most of us when we were growing up in school which is why we're probably all wanting to learn NVC, is what do you care about? What do you really want to learn today? Most people I ask have never been asked that in school. And consequently, we are rewarded for thinking better or worse, however we do it, but not how we feel. So that gets atrophied. And not to mention our imagination. So try this. This is something we could spend a day on, or 10 or 2 minutes, which we'll spend 2 minutes. But it's something that you can practice for the rest of your life, and find something new in it every time you practice, if you're practicing in a good way. So here's the question. Everybody, and what brings you here? What is it that something matters to you? And you know what that is. I'm not going to ask to articulate it, but something you care about, that you want to learn, that you want to become, right? Now, you all know about the needs lists, of course. That's the 101s. But here, you don't have to look at the list for a second. What is one quality you would love to cultivate that would really support who it is you're really choosing and working to become in your life? Just one quality. If nothing jumps to mind, I can suggest one, but how about you, Natalie? Anything, one word?
Hmm. Letting go or letting be what is.
So if you were looking at the needs list, what word would that be?
Hmm. Ease.
Go with ease. Hey, everybody, try this if you'd like. Sit with your head above your heart, above your belly, vertical line, just for a moment. You can do any way you want. You can sit like Marshall Rosenberg always sat like this, and it'll probably work. But I'm suggesting this antenna being a vertical line, head, heart, belly, in alignment with the earth. That's the structure. And take a deep breath in and go, and settle into your full length. And I really suggest making a sound. Now, here's the thing. Ask yourself, and this is an empathic question to yourself. And so you ask it without knowing the answer or needing to know or shoulding to know. Just ask yourself without knowing and see what happens. Ask yourself the question and notice any first thought that arises, okay? How would it feel right now? This is a question to the body. How would it feel right now if I had just a little bit more ease? What would that feel like? Imagine that. So you noticed any shifts there, Natalie?
Yep.
What do you notice? Would you, only if you want to share. This, again, this is
Yeah.
choice.
Sure. Happy
Please.
to share. I feel some lightness. I feel some spaciousness
Where?
in my chest.
Okay. So I'm going to just say, because this is the 2-minute thing, okay? That's your body talking to you. That is your needs. Ease is a need. Needs are words we use to describe life. And if they're describing life, then it's pretty infinite what we can learn from it. And when you, in 10 seconds, to just ask yourself, what would it feel like to have a little ease? And life answered you. By the way, you could say thank you to your body for answering you. And that'll actually enhance the work, gratitude. But for right now, there's an ease that happens, a lightness that happens, more spaciousness, because there was a contraction before and there's other things going on. So this is a place where we can learn to listen to what needs teach us, how they inform. That is the shape, beginnings, the shape of ease. And it just goes on and on and on, the possible learnings. That's 10 seconds worth. How's that sound? As far as it is 101 NVC, but it's also advanced. So beginner advanced, we'll be doing stuff. And there's more. I'm not going to do it in this session, but this piece here's a little tidbit for everybody who's going to come. The fourth part of that practice is about really utilizing and imagining an empathic field and imbuing it with that quality of ease. So that as I feel more ease and cultivate that and learn about it, what is it? Oh, that's ease. Then I can actually extend it and transmit it and include others in that listening, that empathic field of listening. And that's very interesting. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for asking the question. It was fun to answer it. Anybody else?
David, Colleen has.
Colleen, I'm sorry. I didn't see that. It's a little.
That's
Colleen,
okay.
yeah.
I recently noticed that when I'm feeling, I don't have access to words. It has to like shift over to my head. And I have a history of ignoring my feelings because they can be overwhelming. Are you going to, at this point, address how to move in bits so that you don't get overwhelmed and you can make it?
I love these questions you're all asking me today. That's a really good one too. That Yes, the simple answer is yes, because along what we're doing here, one of the things we're doing here is reclaiming our empathic faculties for listening to life. And that's a lot of information. As we learn to do that, we're not just listening to we're listening to life, the trees, the animals, the planet, each other, ourselves. There's a ton of information that comes in this field, this empathic field of listening. So along with learning to expand these empathic faculties, to reclaim them and cultivate them, we also have to learn how to self-regulate, to learn what is too much for our systems. Because if our systems become overloaded by the listening, by the fielding, then our system goes into our default modes, the things we've learned earlier in life that we have practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced. And the old habits come up and all the new learning goes out the window. Yeah, you familiar with that one, huh, Colleen? Okay, anybody who is involved in learning NVC will come to that and go, what do you do with that? And, or not. But, so one piece is self-regulation. And the other thing I heard you say, which is also something I noticed, is when we're listening empathically, it's like all of our senses are engaged and our imagination. And I use imagination. It's not fantasy. Imagination is how we understand everything. We have to engage our imagination to understand who each other is, So to engage each other, we have to engage in a way where everything is working together, it's almost like a dream. When you're dreaming, everything is engaged. And it's this like felt, soft kind of state of being, and you're listening with that, waiting for something in you to go, oh, is that what you're saying? And then you check it like with a question, are you saying this? But it's this really delicate, dreamlike state. And you have to move from that to thinking to ask the question. So that's a skill as well. Am I making sense, Colleen?
Yeah, that's kind of the question I have, is how do you do that? Yeah.
Practice. And I think a part of it too is being aware of what that process is. And I'm doing my best to understand it myself. I don't think anybody's ever explained it to me that way, but that's how I understand it. All of NVC practices are centering practices to center ourselves so we can become more relaxed. And the more relaxed we are, the more aware we can be. The more relaxed our system is, the more it can integrate, and we can listen with our whole self, which is what empathy is. And, not just listening and thinking, what is the need? What is that? Because we know that doesn't work so well. It works okay sometimes. But then, after you get past the beginnings of the work, it doesn't. At least it doesn't for me. You have to embody it. You have to feel it.
I was going to say, it's when I'm thinking of a theory that it doesn't work.
Yeah, well, people know. If I'm talking to you, if I'm talking to you from my head. I have my feelings and my needs, and I'm by no way am I ridiculing that. It's necessary stages. They're training wheels, and they're important. And to be able you practice that so you can begin to feel it. It's like they're palettes, they're colors on a palette. How do you get to the point where you can use these colors to paint and to listen creatively as well? When you're listening empathically, you're listening creatively going, is this what you're saying? It really is an artist. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not clear on how I would get there, but I kind of have a sense of it. So thank
Well,
you.
does the explanation help maybe give a little bit more of a map?
Yes, yes.
Well, that's a good place to practice. And you already have the feeling. You know the territory right there. It's just practicing. That's the lifelong practice part. You can always get better at doing that. And so we'll do more of that for sure in the workshop too. Thank you. Thank you for that beautiful question. And as far as the overwhelm, we're going to do some things about that too, as far as how do you relax your system? How do you stop taking things quite so personally? How do you not let them hit you so hard? How do you actually let them go by a little bit so you can be more present? Anyone else? Thank you very much, Colleen. Those were all these questions we could spend all night on. So next question, please.
I have a question. So my name's Andy. My pronouns are she, her. As someone who hasn't attended any NVC training, I've read the book and others and have people close in my life who are well versed. Is there anything prior to this event that you would recommend focusing on, doing, reading, watching, anything of that sort?
Well, it's lovely to read excuse me, read Marshall Rosenberg's, the main book that he wrote. That's a great start. Maybe even watch a few of his videos, because there's something that is transmitted in some of his videos, which is his presence. And again, for me, as we learn this, keeping in mind, it's less the words we use, and it's more who we are as we enter whatever we're entering. And the words are, and the basics are really useful for freeing us up. That's what, that's the ignition part. What is it? Can I ask you a question? Because that might help you answer your question.
Sure. Yes.
There's something about NVC that ignited you, right? Something that, what was that?
It was kind of something I had known about and heard about, and then I became close with someone who uses it a lot, and started graciously teaching me some of it, and I started using some of the basics in different areas of my life. I do a job that is can be controversial and can deal with a lot of pushback and a lot of heated conversations, and I have just found it, the little bit that I have had access to has made such a difference in personal, professional, all of the ways that I just want more. And I really like immersive ways of learning. So this is very, very appealing.
Cool. Okay. So, and the immersion here is something that the interactions that you're having that are improving. It sounds like, you're able to stay more present with people and less reactive. That's pretty central.
Definitely. Yes.
Well, keep practicing what's working, first of all. I would say, practice again, learn those basics. And another thing, even as you're starting, find your words that are the same as, there's a language that NVC puts out, and it's really important to learn. And so that step one is learning that. Step two might be just changing the words to be your own. Like I rarely use the word needs anymore in my regular life. I'd say, instead of say, what do you need? Or I have a need for it, I'd say, you know what I'd love? Or, what is it that you love about that? Instead of what needs were being met. find a way to kind of digest things as you go and make it your own and use your language. But that is a step B. Step A is continue learning and practicing what's working and come to the immersion and dive into it. I mean, other than offering you some practices, can I offer you one practice that you can play with?
Yes.
All right. All right. I do much better with offering practices than talking about this. If I had to encapsulate what NVC is in one little move, it'd be like this. Let's see. Okay, you want a tiny little role play with me, Andy? Would that be okay?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
I've come this far. I'll keep going.
Pretend I'm somebody that's a little difficult for you to talk to. We won't name names now. You know who it is, right? And on a scale of 1 to 10, for now, just make it like a 2. Nothing 3 at the most. And if it's family, it's probably going to be any higher anyways. But it doesn't matter. So if it's just say to me what you pretend this is that person right in front of you, and what would you be saying to him? Just a few sentences, but feel it, mean it.
I had a conversation like this today. The language that you chose to use in the meeting that we had, we've discussed before. You're aware that it's problematic and causes harm, and I need to understand why, with the education discussions we've had, you continue to use harmful language.
Okay. So, all those sentences that you just said, imagine taking all those words and put them in a big bowl right here. Okay. You got it? Okay. And put them in the elevator and bring them down into your heart. All those words. Can you imagine that? And imagine your heart has a mouth on it. All right. And so we're going to ask your heart in just half a sentence. Would you express what Andy was saying there so we can I just want to understand it. And just from here, right here, half sentence, and let this part speak. Take your time.
I'm really just getting one word, not even half a sentence of why. Just why. That's all that kept coming to me during that conversation was why. Why do you keep doing this? Why?
So just double checking. That was your heart speaking?
Feel it very here. Why?
Nice. So your heart just spoke to you and you asked a question, it to do something and it did it. Now graciousness just dictates a little bit of just say thank you to your heart. Yeah. And ask it if it's okay to ask one more question.
Yes.
Okay. Can I ask your heart a question?
Yes.
Thank you. Hey, heart. What is it that you would love here that you're trying to express to this other person? First thought.
I would love to have shared reality. I would love to have shared reality with this person, to be heard and have shared reality.
And again, your heart answered you. A little gratitude if you appreciation. Yeah. How does that feel, by the way, when you appreciate it like that?
Good. I definitely feel it settles in when I'm saying it in my head, but I definitely feel it settling in when I say that.
So one more, can I ask you one more? Thank you. Hey, heart, if pretend I am that person that Andy's talking to. And in a half sentence, heart, what is it that you would love to say to Andy if you had just a half sentence to express it right now?
You did your best.
Let's leave it at that for right now. Is that okay, Andy?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you. Notice how it felt to say that?
Mm-hmm.
Were you touched?
Mm-hmm. I didn't expect that.
Hmm. Uh, let me ask Eric. You were listening to that. Were you touched?
Oh yeah, no, I had like I could feel it here, and I had little tears almost coming out. Like that last one, you did the best you could, Andy.
Yeah. And Sean, I just see you going like this, and just notice that, Andy, in your learning, as you enter NVC, that's the source. That's the territory right there. All your practices, see if you can feel, keep swimming back upstream to that. That will give you a direction for, how to true your practices. How's that sound?
Oh, good. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a beautiful question. Anyone else? And other people, you can ask a question twice. I know people are being considerate. I love that what you just did, Andy, there, because that is one of those things that we tend to brush away. That tender moment, whenever that happens, again, my in the learning, stop, notice it. I consider those sacred moments, and it's different than what I grew up practicing. Now I see it and I go, oh, I'm not going to just go, wow, that was great, or fill it up with words. In the empathic guessing that we do, sometimes you catch that moment, and it's so powerful. You want to just fill it, say something, and if it's like a good practice is to give more spaciousness. And I don't remember who asked the question about spaciousness and more spaciousness, but that connects to that too. That makes sense? All right. Yeah, I think Natalie asked that question about spaciousness, come to think of it. Got time for a question or two if you want.
I have a logistical question. Is it okay if we go to that, or is
Well,
it
we're going to do that in about 5 minutes, if you don't want to mind holding that. So we got 5 minutes for like the NVC questions, then all the logistical stuff you can be asking.
Thanks for offering those practices, by the way, David. I should have pointed out that that was an option. So thanks for offering little practices. It's great. I love it.
No, you're welcome. I'm glad you like it. To me, again, in the sessions I offer and how I approach NVC, I really want people to feel the territory. And you can start from the beginning and practice the feeling with all the words and everything like that as we're trying to figure it all out. But if we are trying to, and this goes back to you, Andy, but to everybody, if we're trying to figure something out, these words and language and the NVC principles and basics, and we're up here practicing, but we're not connecting it to our felt sense, then we're actually practicing disconnection. So my suggestion is always to slow it down so you can make sure you're feeling what you're doing, because then you're practicing connection. Or, and sometimes we practice that disconnection. We have to for a while, but then we have to make up for lost time because we've already practiced that disconnection. But so you can actually, that felt sense, that ripple that you felt, Andy, that was transmitted and felt by the others, we can practice that from day one. Thoughts? Anybody? if you could, okay, if you could ask any question you wanted about NVC, what would it be? I don't necessarily know the answer, but what would it be? Let's say you know, and if you've spoken already, that's okay. I just want to use the 5 minutes we have.
I'm sorry, I was trying to answer your first question. I'm just walking in the airport, so but I have my headset on, and I just want to say to you that I'm just really moved by your approach, and I just love it. I love that you're just diving right in, and you basically just leave me wanting a lot more. It's like, okay, let's do more of this.
Yeah,
So, like, I don't even know if you can hear me, but I just wanted to
I hear
give you that
everything.
feedback.
That touches
Okay.
me. Thank you. No,
Yeah, I wish I could really be sitting and being more engaged than I am right now, but I'm just so happy that I just I thought, should I do this? I'm running to the airport, but I'm so glad I did. I'm still moved by what you did, and I feel like I've already learned so much.
Oh, thank you for saying
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah, I'm really excited and dedicated to sharing. I'm dedicated to learning too. And yeah, so again, time, yeah. One thing we will be starting with my sessions is really, they will begin and end with it, really is, what do you really care about? What moves you to be coming to this thing? That, that's the backdrop. What is it? What is it that you just never get tired of, ever? Those questions were never asked to us, and you'd be surprised how many of us cannot answer those questions. But if you can answer it and weep because your answer is so beautiful, you're going to have a power to the work and the learning that'll get you from here to there. So that through line through all the stuff that wants to hold us back inside, that's, really, and again, back to you, Andy, on how do you start? Really answer the question, what it is, for the sake of what are you learning this? And really hold it. I know why I am. I want to learn and share, basically, for becoming who I am, to find my voice in the world, to help others find their voices, to create a more nurturing world, for our children and our grandchildren and our great and future generations. It's powerful reclamation work, and I'm dedicated to it. So that's, we start there. What moves you? What do you care about? And what will bring you there? And I think that we're at time, right? 45. I want to thank you for the questions and for just appreciate your presence and being able to just be here with you and think about these things. And thank you. Thanks for inviting me, Eric, and your support there too, Sean.
Thanks,
Oh,
David.
by the way, I want to say one more thing. If you want, you said I could do this too earlier, Eric. If you want to really check out my work too, Liminal Somatics, as you mentioned, Eric, that's my company, Liminal Somatics. Liminal is a threshold on a door. Somatics is like mind, body, life, where, it's to step into the unknown and the mystery of life. You gotta be connected to what you care about. Anyway, liminal somatics. My work is called somatic consensus, of which NVC is a cornerstone. And somatic consensus is getting your whole self, this internal community, same basics for creating community around us, and more on that. But I have a place where people can, I'm going to be teaching in April in Germany and in Turkey and a few other places. And I have a website, and I have an online training space. It's like an online dojo, and I teach there regularly. and my people I've trained that teach there. And the idea is ongoing practice over time, and that's how we learn. So anyway, I'll put in the chat or my website. It's liminalsomatics.com, www.liminalsomatics.com. Thanks. I look forward to training together, however we do it. Now I'm done, Eric.
Thanks, David. If you need to, I can send you directly to him. You've got my email address, Sean. If you
I
can't
just put
find
the
it-
link in the chat.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect.
Thanks,
And
David.
Would you put my email there too? And feel free, if we
Sure.
open up questions or anything else, feel free to write me too, anybody. Love the conversations. Keep them going.
Wonderful.
There you go.
Well, I'm so excited. I got little goosebumps just now, like with you're going to be there, David. I'm thinking I'm going to give up the organizer position just so I can attend your sessions. So if anybody on the call wants to be a co-organizer with Sean, let Sean know and you can take over for me.
You're
Thanks.
so funny, Eric.
Hey, Eric, can I make one more plug?
Absolutely, please.
All right. My wife Judith will be with me, and we train all around the world. Like, I'm the one who's kind of organizing things, and she's there, and she teaches, and she has a wonderful presence, which is a big part of the learning that we're learning here. And together, we're an old couple, and we have our ups and downs, but we do well, and we live in community, and kind of together, I think we offer something, even another piece. So I'm glad that's happening too. That's it.
Thank you, David. We are looking forward to experiencing both of you together.
Yay.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank
do you
you.
need me for the logistic part?
Do we, Eric? I don't think we do.
I think, yeah, thanks so much for being here, David. You've got his contact information. Everybody, if you want to just say, wave or, say thanks, David. Thank you, David. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What else you can do? I learned you
David.
can do this too. You can go like this. Watch. Where's it going?
Oh,
Does that work?
wow.
I don't know if
It
that
only
works.
works on some.
Crazy.
Thanks,
All
David.
right. Thank you all. I hope to see you in May or sooner.
Thank you, David.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Well, very grateful. Thanks for sticking around. Jamie, you had a question for us, a logistics question.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. I was just curious if you could kind of, just briefly, not in detail, but walk me through what a day might look like.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first night, in general, a day is going to look something like this. 8 a.m. breakfast, 9 a.m. opening circle, 10 a.m. 2-hour session. Multiple sessions will be offered. Between 3 and 5 sessions will be offered. And then there'll be lunch. And then you'll have an option then of some sort of either break or get with your home group. So you put you into home groups of 4 to 5 people. That's kind of your group that you kind of like your empathy buddies that we organize for you. But the truth is you're going to organize lots of mini home groups. You're going to make lots of friends. And when you do, you can tell me what it's like to have friends. But the point is you'll make lots of little home groups. You're going to form one that we assign you to, and then you'll find your ones. Like we had one that was a mezcal one. Mezcal's the liquor, right? We had a mezcal one in 5 years ago. There won't be any alcohol allowed here by the way. But don't bring any alcohol. But you'll find your groups, and hopefully you'll have lots of mini groups and you'll go off. But the point is after lunch, you'll kind of have a break time. There'll be an assigned time that you can do your empathy groups. And then we'll have our second session, which is 3 to 5 offerings. So the core trainers will offer 3 to 5 offerings. Then there'll be a closing circle. That's usually a celebrations and mourning circle. Like, what did I learn today? What am I celebrating? What am I mourning? What am I sad about? Or what did I, something like that. And then there'll be dinner. And then there'll be another 2-hour session of offering. So opening, 2-hour session, lunch. Empathy, home group / empathy, session 2, multiple offerings, closing circle, dinner, 2-hour session in the evening. Now, in general, people will be offering things like yoga at 6 a.m. I don't know who's crazy enough to get up at 6 or 6:30 a.m. for yoga. Oh, I guess Sean will. There'll be yoga or meditation, or maybe somebody will say, like, let's do a silent dinner table, or let's do meditation for 15 minutes while everybody's going through the buffet line first. Or there'll be a dance party, from 9 to 10 p.m. or whatever. Or let's go on a hike. Let's completely skip the closing circle. Let's go on a hike for an hour. Or your empathy group will be like, let's go for a hike for our home group, and we'll just go in pairs, and we'll do empathy in pairs in the woods. Is that helpful, Jamie? And we really want you to be in choice, and we really want you to, find things that work for you.
I have one more question, Eric, and this is probably the most.
Oh, you're going to double dip, are you, Jamie?
I am. This is the most important one.
Yeah.
Is there coffee?
Sean, I'm going to have you answer this question.
I have some serious needs that need to be met around.
Yeah. Off the top of my head, honestly, I can't remember if that is part of what the retreat center offers. However, we can absolutely make that happen if it's not what they serve. Did that answer?
Thank you.
And I'll double check with the center about that.
I think what Jamie's saying is coffee is a universal human need. It's on all the needs lists.
Uh-huh.
And it's not just a strategy, it's a universally human need. So we need to make sure that we...
Peace, ease, love, companionship, kindness.
Coffee.
Yeah.
Yes.
Coffee.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Jamie. And I also see, Eric, we have another hand up. I want to make sure we have
let's go.
Opportunity to get to
Hey.
Arati.
Hi, Eric.
Hey, good to see you again.
Good to see you. So I filled out that form with all the questions on it.
The intake form, got it. Thank you for doing
that
it.
thing. And there was a section on food, like what are our food preferences, and on there is listed, at least that I remember, chicken.
Oh.
And Mount Madonna is
I can answer that. Yeah.
Oh, let her finish. Yeah.
So Mount Madonna is strictly vegetarian. So, I'm not quite sure. What I got from that was a little misleading, because if that's included in what people might enjoy to eat, but it's actually not something that is offered there, it might be confusing. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, thank you for that. So I really appreciate you mentioning that. And I think what's going on is that's one of the forms that is provided to us by the Center for Nonviolent Communication. And so I think they have that form for all of the IITs, whether the dietary, restrictions of that place include meat or don't include meat. And I really appreciate you bringing that piece up, that there might be confusion. So I think I will add that somewhere on the intake form or on one of the emails to remind people that this center doesn't offer meat and actually doesn't allow meat on the premises. So does that add clarity? Were you looking
Yeah,
for
it does.
clarity or? Okay.
Yeah, and actually Mount Madonna doesn't allow bringing any food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No snacks, no, they're very strict around that. So especially if people have never been there before, they're coming from out of town, or if people have some like me, dietary requirements, we need to figure something out. Like going to Watsonville or something like that.
Yeah, I think there could be a few of us that do a hamburger run or a chicken run once in a while down to Watsonville to get
Yeah, yeah.
some. I think
So
it's
anyway.
probably another thing. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thanks for pointing that out. I completely missed that in the form. We
Thank
should-
you.
Yeah.
And Eric, I see in the chat we have question from Andy about check-in and check-out time.
Yeah, thanks for asking. I think we'd love for you to start checking in by 3 p.m. on Friday. We're going to give you a little more detail in the next week or so. We're meeting this weekend. The training team is meeting this weekend to try to finalize the opening and the closing schedules so that we can be more accurate. So it'd be great if you could be there, by 3 p.m. on Friday. I know that's challenging if people are flying and people need to work. But we should have more detail. I hope to get something out to you by Monday or probably by Wednesday of next week.
Yeah, and then once it's finalized, or at least the beginning draft of the schedule is all figured out, then we'll post it. It'll be part of the helpful document as well, the frequently asked question. So we'll have that hopefully really soon, because I know it really affects how the travel.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Andy. Does that answer your question? Well, for the moment, I guess.
It does, yeah. If it's coming in the next week or so, that's totally great.
Yeah.
Just for kind of getting there and leaving, having those times, but that's well in advance to know. So that's great.
Yeah, and you can hold me accountable. If it's not there, just say, Eric, come on.
I will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe you. Thanks. And there's a question in the chat, Nelly, just one sec. Gwendolyn asked if Roxy's going to be there. She's confirmed that she will be there. We will be asking, I'm just trying to decide what I talk about here. We'll send an email out with what we'll be asking from a health perspective. So we have a health and wellness policy, which we've developed with the organization, and specific things for this event. So I don't think I want to talk about them here, but I'll send out an email to everybody who's fully registered, and probably the pre-registered people too, just so they have a view of what's going on. Yeah. So thanks for asking. So Roxy will be in attendance if that is important to you. It was important to me, just so you know. Okay.
Was
thanks
she
for the question.
on the last, I think on the email when I scanned it, was there a recording link on there that was Roxy last week talking that we might have missed? Is that accurate? Okay.
Yeah, so there's a recording from whenever it was, January 25th. Yes, that's right. And at that, the recording will say she's not sure she's going to attend, but she confirmed with me today that she is attending. She will be participating and teaching. I know. I'm pretty relieved and happy. All right, thanks for the question, Gwendolyn. We hope that you'll decide to register if you haven't already. Natalie.
Have all the trainers confirmed at this point?
Yes, they're all confirmed. Yes.
Okay, does it say that on the website who actually is?
Everybody who's on the website, yeah. So they're all confirmed. That's correct.
Okay, good. I'll just repeat that. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, Natalie, for asking. Yeah.
Okay, second question. Yeah, I am a bit startled about the food situation there. I am not vegetarian, and I rely on meat in my diet quite a bit. And so this is quite startling to think that no food is allowed from the outside. Is it for sure? Or
let me state the specifics. The specifics are no alcohol, no drugs at all, to be really clear. No alcohol, no drugs. If you are caught with alcohol or drugs, you will be asked to leave immediately by the venue. Okay. And then for any kind of outside food, we should explain one of the reasons they don't want outside food is because of animals. They're actually in the wilderness, and if you're in a tent or a cabin, they just don't want animals coming into those spaces. It's just too challenging. That's the real reason. There may be another reason for the other thing. In terms of I don't have a lot of guidance in terms of the meat, because I'm a meat eater as well. So I think I'm going to be going into Watsonville every other day or something. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do at this point. They will have eggs as a protein source, and we've asked specifically, the schedule's a little different on some days, where we've asked that they have hard-boiled eggs available essentially whenever there aren't meals and there's just snacks. So we'll be asking them to have hard-boiled eggs at many, most of the time. And we'll probably figure out, we'll eventually we'll have to adjust the first couple of days to make sure there's enough eggs for all of us people who eat meat and enjoy animal protein. But they're not going to be searching through your stuff. Okay, just so you know. But if they do find you with meat, there will be a scolding. I'm sorry. Not by me. I'm just saying. Okay, it'll be. I'm just so scared this is being recorded.
This is not in accordance with NVC. Scolding is.
I will not be scolding you for anything. Number one. Number two, and I don't even know if they're going to scold you, right? They might scold me, and I don't like to get scolded. So there's a high probability I will comply. Okay. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. Colleen, Natalie, maybe we'll need to have maybe we'll have to have a shuttle bus that takes people down at 6 o'clock every other day to get, chicken sandwiches or something. I don't know what it's going to be. Or pie. I think there's really good pie in Watsonville.
Yeah, chicken pie.
Chicken pot pie. Yeah.
I have a question because I'm diabetic. If I'm not supposed to bring any food with me, I usually carry some kind of sugar in case I have a low. Will they have somewhere in there or someplace I can go if I need it immediately?
Okay, again, this is being recorded. There'll always be snacks there. Yes.
So there'll be some kind of sweet, yeah.
Yeah, there will be a snack table next to the conference center, I believe, and we'll get more details on that and then put it on the helpful document. And then there's also this policy of bringing no outside food. They said that certain accommodations can be made for medical reasons. And so if you want to send us an email with some of that information of what accommodations you would like, we can chat with the center and make sure that your needs are met in terms of feeling physically safe in the space. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't bring half a cow with you.
Leave your cows at home, please. I do have a half a cow in my freezer. I'm not bringing it. Okay, any other questions? I see that we have about 10 minutes left. I know there's some people who haven't asked questions, and I want to make sure there's space for those people whose voices haven't been in the space if anything has come up.
I see a question from Andy. Are nuts allowed on the press? I imagine that is part of the snack routine. We probably should find out what the snacks are made up of, Sean. As I recall, they have packets of oatmeal available in the morning for the days that there isn't breakfast, there's brunch. So like if you get up and you need something, they'll have, I think the idea is that in the morning, there's one morning which we will just have, or 2 mornings, I think the 2 Saturdays, it'll be fruit, eggs, and oatmeal in the morning, and then brunch is at 10 or 11, and that'll be brunch, and then there'll be a little bit till dinner. So we'll just find out if there's nuts. Yeah, I'm sure they must have nuts, right? Because I'm not bringing all my nuts. I mean, my frenetism. I should use the word freneticism. Sorry. I'm going to get in so much trouble. They're going to uncertify me. Yeah, so the question is it all vegetarian? It's an all vegetarian campus. So they say no alcohol, no meat, no outside food. except for medical reasons, and just let us know if there's a medical reason why you need to have bars with you or something. Anything else?
I can confirm that they do offer nuts sometimes. So there's a sample menu that I'm looking at, and there's walnuts offered as part of lunch, as part of dinner. There's also cheese. There's dairy offered. So there's cottage cheese offered as a side. There's bagels with cream cheese offered at lunch. This is just an example, but hopefully that adds some clarity for people concerned about the protein aspect.
So there's a question here about if there'll be electricity in the camping area. I don't imagine there will be electricity in the camping area, but we can ask if there's something there.
Can I clarify, Eric?
Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
So I guess those are two different things. The cabins do have electricity, but no Wi-Fi. And then the campgrounds, I don't think there is electricity. But then, of course, in the bathrooms, there's electricity, which the bathrooms are accessed by the people who are camping.
And it's a 2-minute walk, I think, from the campsite to the bathrooms, as well as the cabins to the bathrooms. And of course, there'll be areas that if you need to do work or something, there'll be areas where you can sit and have access to electricity and charge your devices. Also, I believe there's a treadmill for squirrels if you want to use squirrels for electricity. That doesn't make any sense. I know, I'm sorry. All right. Any other questions? I'm going to see if there's any other questions. And then if there's not, then I'm going to ask you to stay on a minute. I'm going to stop streaming, and then I'm going to turn it off. But if you'd all, I'd invite you to stay on for a moment. Okay, thanks everybody for attending. We appreciate you. If you'd like to stay on, I'm going to stop the streaming here for a moment. Thanks everybody. For those of you who are listening, go ahead and register. We are starting to run out of some room types. We think the doubles will fill up pretty quick, but there's plenty of cabins. There's plenty of, there's still cabins available. There's lots of triple space available. There's a few double spaces available, so sign up quick. But there's triples available, there's quads available, and there's lots of camping available. And of course, you can commute in. We'd love to have you register. Thanks everybody for joining.